Hello, everybody. Today we'll explore the beautiful poem Haunted Houses by Henry Wordsworth Longfellow. Before we dive into today's discussion, I want to take a moment to introduce to you Oswald Questionbank, your ultimate companion for mastering the subject. If you are a student striving for academic excellence, Oswald ensures you are fully equipped with the latest ICSE syllabus, making your exam prep stress-free. This will help you gain insight into exam patterns with fully solved papers from previous years, including the latest board examination papers, guiding you through exam scenarios. With this book by your side, you can track your progress with self-assessment papers after each section, identifying strengths and areas for improvement, ensuring you are exam ready. From compositions, letter writing to notice email, Oswald Books ensures you are equipped with effective writing skills for exam success. With Oswald Questionbank, cracking the ICC exam is within reach. Don't miss out your pathway to success. Grab your copy today and breeze through your exams with confidence. You'll find the link in the description. Now let's understand the poem Haunted Houses by Henry Wordsworth Longfellow. This poem dwells into the theme of the supernatural and the unseen world that coexists with our own. Henry Wordsworth Longfellow was one of the most widely known and best-loved American poets of the 19th century. Poems such as Paul Revere's Ride, Evangeline, A Tale of Arcady, and The Sum of Life were mainstays of primary and secondary school curricula, long remembered by generations of readers who studied them as children. The poem Haunted Houses invites readers to ponder the mysteries of life and the unseen forces that shape our existence. Its timeless themes and evocative imagery continue to captivate readers today, making it a classic piece of literature. Now let's delve into the poem. All houses wherein men have lived and died. Longfellow begins by stating that every house where people have lived and died becomes haunted. Yet the house symbolizes human existence and the passage of time. The idea of haunting symbolizes the lingering presence of memories, experiences, and emotions associated with the lives lived within the house. It suggests that our actions and experiences leave lasting imprints on the places we inhabit, shaping their atmosphere and character long after we are gone. Our haunted houses through the open doors. In this line, Longfellow asserts that these houses are indeed haunted, and the haunting extends even beyond the physical structure, suggesting that the spirits move freely through open doors. When Longfellow talks about through the open doors, he means that the memories and spirits linked to the house can go beyond its physical limits. The open doors show that these memories aren't stuck inside but can move around freely. It's like saying the past isn't trapped inside the building. It can reach out and touch the world around it. The harmless phantoms on their errands glide. Longfellow's description of harmless phantoms on their errands glide paints a picture of spirits quietly moving through the house with a sense of purpose. This imagery suggests that these spirits, while ethereal and ghostly, are not menacing or threatening. Instead, they glide peacefully, as if they have specific tasks or missions to fulfill within the confines of the house. This illustration evokes a sense of calm and serenity, despite the presence of supernatural elements, implying that these spirits are not to be feared, but rather accepted as part of the natural order of the house's history and legacy. With feet that makes no sound upon the floors. Longfellow emphasizes the ghostly nature of these spirits by highlighting their silent movement, suggesting that they make no noise as they glide through the house. This imagery conjures the idea of silent, almost weightless movement, as if the spirits are not bound by the physical laws that govern living beings. We meet them at the doorway on the stair. The speaker implies that one might come across the spirits in different parts of the houses like doorways and staircases. Longfellow's mention of meeting the spirits at the doorway illustrates encountering these ethereal beings at different places throughout the house. Imagine walking through an old house and suddenly feeling a presence near the doorway, or catching a glimpse of something fleeting on the staircase. These encounters evoke a sense of the supernatural, And if the spirits are lingering in the areas where they once lived or passed through in life, this imagery adds to the haunting atmosphere of the poem, suggesting that the spirits are not confined to one location but can be encountered throughout the house, heightening the sense of their presence and impact on the living. Along the passage, they come and go. The spirits move back and forth along the corridors and hallways of the house. This symbolizes how the past is not static but constantly in motion, influencing the present and the future. Impalpable impressions on the air. This line states that the spirit's presence is hard to notice, like a feeling one can't quite explain but knows is there. It's like walking into a room and feeling a chill or hearing a sound even when one's alone. These strange feelings make one uneasy, as if the spirits are somehow affecting the air. This shows that even though we can't see them, their presence is still felt in the house. A sense of something moving to and fro. This line further emphasizes the idea of a constant motion within the house, hinting at the spirit's restless activity. This adds to the sense of mystery and intrigue within the house. In the line, there are more guests at table than the hosts. Longfellow metaphorically compares the number of ghostly occupants in the house to the living hosts, implying that the spirits outnumber the living. This metaphor suggests that there are more spirits or ghosts present in the house than there are living occupants. This comparison implies that the spirits of the past representing the deceased outnumber the current living inhabitants of the house. It highlights the idea that the legacy and history of the house are dominated by the memories and presence of those who have passed away rather than by those who currently reside there. Invited, the illuminated hall. This line suggests that despite not being formally invited, the spirits inhabit the brightly lit hall of the house. The phrase is thronged with quiet, inoffensive ghosts suggests that the hall is filled with many peaceful and harmless spirits, adding to the eerie atmosphere of the house. It creates an image of a crowded space where these ghosts coexist silently without causing any harm or disturbance. As silent as the pictures on the wall. Longfellow compares the silence of the ghosts to that of the pictures hanging on the walls, further emphasizing their quiet presence. The stranger at my fireside cannot see. The speaker here acknowledges that the people who are not familiar with the speaker's home are unable to see the ghosts that the speaker can see. This acknowledgement highlights the idea that the presence of the ghosts is known only to those who have a deep understanding or familiarity with the house, emphasizing the theme of perception and the selective awareness of the supernatural within the speaker's environment. The forms I see, nor hear the sounds I hear. Here, the speaker contrasts his own perception of the ghosts and the sounds they make with the inability of others to see or hear them. He but perceives what is, while unto me. The speaker states that the others only perceive what is physically present, while the speaker perceives the unseen spirits and hears the sound they make. All that has been is visible and clear. Through this line, the speaker conveys that he can vividly perceive and understand the past as clearly as if it were happening in the present. This suggests a profound connection to the history of the house, where the memories and events of the past are as real and tangible to the speaker as their current surroundings. We have no title deeds to house or lands. Longfellow shifts to a broader reflection on ownership, suggesting that we do not truly own the houses or lands we inhabit. The phrase, "we have no title deeds to house or lands," suggests that our ownership of the houses or lands we inhabit goes beyond legal documents. Instead, Longfellow reflects on the idea that our connection to a place is not solely defined by possessing official papers, but by deeper factors such as memories, experiences, and emotional attachments. This broader reflection challenges the notion that ownership is solely determined by legal rights. It invites us to consider the profound connection we have to the places we call home, regardless of legal titles and the significance of the personal histories and experiences that shape our relationship with them. Owners and occupants of earlier dates, from graves forgotten, stretch their dusty hands. The speaker acknowledges the existence of previous owners and inhabitants of the house who have long since died and been forgotten. It suggests that despite their passing, their presence and influence linger on, symbolized by their dusty hands reaching out from the past. This imagery evokes a sense of continuity and connection to the past, as if the spirits of these past inhabitants are still somehow intertwined with the earthly realm, reaching out from their forgotten graves to remind the living of their existence and hold in mortmain still their old estates. Here the speaker suggests that despite their physical deaths, the previous owners and occupants continue to maintain control or influence over their former properties, even from beyond the grave. Mortmain refers to the legal concept of property ownership by entities such as corporations or religious institutions that cannot die, and here it symbolizes the enduring hold that the deceased individuals have over their estates. The spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere and everywhere. Longfellow introduces the concept of the spirit world as surrounding and coexisting with the physical world. This line introduces the idea that there is a spiritual dimension that surrounds and coexists with the physical world we perceive with our senses. Longfellow describes the spirit world as pervasive, likening it to an atmosphere that envelops everything and exists everywhere. These concepts suggest that the spiritual realm is not confined to specific places or times, but is constantly present and intertwined with our everyday reality. Wafts through these earthly mists and vapor dense. The phrase suggests that the spirit world penetrates and moves through the dense earthly realm. It implies that the spiritual dimension is not separate from the physical world, but instead intermingles with it like a gentle breeze passing through thick fog. This imagery emphasizes the idea that the spiritual and material realms are interconnected. A vital breath of more ethereal air. This phrase characterizes the spirit world as a life-giving force composed of spiritual essence that permeates the earthly realm. It suggests that the spirit world is like a vital breath or essence of a more ethereal or spiritual nature that flows into and infuses the physical world with its presence. Our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires. Longfellow reflects on the balance of life, suggesting that our lives are kept in balance or equilibrium. This balance is maintained by opposing forces such as conflicting attractions and desires. The struggle of the instinct that enjoys and the more noble instinct that aspires. Here, the poet captures the struggle between the instinct that seeks pleasure and the noble instinct that seeks to reach higher goals. On one hand, there's the allure of indulging in momentary pleasures, satisfying immediate cravings or desires. On the other hand, there's the call to aspire towards something greater, whether it's personal goal, self-improvement, or contributing to the betterment of society. The poet acknowledges the complexity of this struggle, recognizing its significance in shaping human choices, values, and ultimately the direction of one's life. These perturbations, this perpetual jar of earthly wants and aspirations high. Here, the poet describes the ongoing conflict with oneself as a constant clash between earthly desires and lofty ambitions. This conflict is depicted vividly through the imagery of perpetual jar, which suggests a continuous disturbance caused by the collision of these opposing forces. Come from the influence of an unseen star, and as the moon from some dark gate of cloud. These inner conflicts are said to originate from an unseen source, much like how the moon emerges from behind clouds, guided by forces beyond our immediate awareness. Longfellow metaphorically refers to this unseen influence as an undiscovered planet in the sky, emphasizing its mysterious and hidden nature. Goes over the sea, a floating bridge of light, across whose trembling planks our fancies crowd. The poet beautifully expresses the idea of imagination and inspiration by comparing it to a floating bridge of light cast over the sea. This imagery creates a captivating visual of a luminous pathway stretching across the water, inviting our minds to journey across it. The phrase trembling planks adds a sense of delicacy and fragility to the bridge, suggesting that our thoughts and fancies are supported by something ethereal and fleeting. Into the realm of mystery and night, so from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light connecting it with this. The poet suggests that our imaginations transcend the boundaries of the known world, much like a bridge of light extending into the mysterious realm of night. This bridge serves as a connection between our earthly existence and the realm of spirits, allowing to a flow of inspiration and creativity, over whose unsteady flow that sways and bends wander our thoughts above the dark abyss. Longfellow characterizes the bridge of light as unsteady, swaying, and bending, suggesting its ethereal and transient nature. He concludes by suggesting that our thoughts wander above the dark abyss, symbolizing the vast expanse of the mind where our deepest thoughts and fears reside. Now let's discuss the themes of the poem. The first and foremost theme is haunted houses. Longfellow explores the idea that all houses where people have lived and died become haunted by the lingering presence of those who once occupied them. He describes how the memories stick around, making the house feel like it's still filled with the presence of its past occupants, even after they are gone. The second theme is spirituality and the unseen world. The poem dwells into the concept of an unseen spirit world that exists alongside our own, influencing our lives and surroundings. And the third theme is balance of life. Longfellow discusses the balance between earthly desires and aspirations and the higher aspirations of the soul, which often leads to internal conflicts and struggles. That brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this analysis helpful, please consider giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more insightful literary discussions.